Hey, my name's Mev and this is my work from home setup. It's had some updates recently, so I wanted to make a video about it before the end of the year, as I want to get into the habit of showing my desk setup each year to see how it progresses over time. This is how my desk setup looked like last year, and here are some photos of how it looked like before then. As you can see, it's slowly been evolving and I already have some ideas to change it even further. I'll tell you more about those plans at the end of the video, but let's get into everything I have in my office as of 2024. This chair has been one of my biggest upgrades recently. I've been working from home for a while now, and the Ikea one I had been using before was starting to take a toll on my back, so I found one by a company called Slouch. I really liked the look of it. It came in a wide range of colours with a bunch of controls, it included lumbar support, and it also seemed to be favoured by a couple of YouTubers. And yeah, it's honestly made such a huge improvement compared to the Ikea one I had. I really like that this chair has a lot of controls, so I can really fine tune it to make it comfortable for my body and posture. I'll follow up with a review of it soon. So I used to have the MacBook Air, but I've since sold it and upgraded to the M2 MacBook Pro. I've made a couple of videos about why I upgraded, so I'll put a link to that in the description below. But yeah, this has been my daily driver and I use it for everything from work to personal use like video editing and 3D projects. It honestly goes everywhere with me at this point. I bought this sleeve with a matching cable bag to put my cables in. That way I can easily throw it all into my backpack when I travel. But for the most part, the laptop is usually on my desk where it's connected to my LG monitor. Having a 16-inch screen size does make it a decent secondary monitor. When I had my MacBook Air, it was a bit harder to see from the distance I'm currently sitting at. I've had this monitor for a while now, and honestly it's been so great. If you're a developer like me, definitely consider something like this. Its size and the 4K resolution lets me fit up to 3 columns of code at once in my code editor, and that's handy because it saves me from jumping between files when I'm coding. One thing I really like about this monitor is that it charges my laptop through this one USB-C cable, and I can also use the extra USB ports at the back of the monitor to plug in other devices like my mouse and webcam. This makes the overall setup look a lot cleaner, as most of the cables are tucked behind the monitor and you've only got one going into the laptop. I've pretty much got most of the AirPods from Apple at this point. The recent addition has been the AirPod Max. It's the new one that comes in the midnight blue colour and it's got USB-C. When I'm working from home or even at the office, I pretty much always use either these or the AirPod Pros because of the amazing noise cancellation. So far these have been great, but I really hope Apple upgrades them. This desk mat is one I've got from Amazon. It's nothing fancy, but it's been great and it's held up very well. My keyboard of choice is the Magic Keyboard with Touch ID. You can watch my previous video where I break down all my keyboards, and my mouse of choice is the MX Master mouse. I used to have the Philips Hue light bars beside my monitor, but recently I purchased these light bars from Govee to replace my Philips Hue ones. The main reason for this has to do with how I film these videos. When recording videos, I found that the Philips would appear flickering on my camera screen. To the human eye it looks absolutely fine, but it's just on camera it does this. I mean, it's not a huge deal and I do have workarounds, but I don't want to be limited by those options. So I decided to attach the Govee light bars to the back of the monitor rather than having them on the side like before. This just lifts them up and out the way, which I find looks cleaner. And I have repurposed the Philips Hue lights. I'm using them as additional lighting around the desk, and I like how this one looks like a lamp. But honestly, this doesn't mean to say Philips Hue is bad in any way. I actually prefer their mobile app over Govee's, and the Philips also seem to get brighter than the Govee, so I'll definitely be keeping them too. This pegboard has come in handy. I've put things on it that I use often, like my hard drive, SD card for the camera, cables, pens and a mouse and keyboard. Not only is it functional, but it also gives the overall setup a nice touch. In my previous setup, this wall was pretty empty and I showed a plan of how I wanted to add shelves and posters, and it turned out as I hoped. I got these shelves and poster frame from Ikea, and combined they've really helped to fill in that empty space. My home office has a big windowsill that I use as a shelf for my notepad and books. It's quite nice having it just off to the side, as I can pick up a book or offload stuff off my desk to free up space. My books are typically either design, programming or self-development books, with an occasional fictional book. The notepads I use are from Paperchase. The ones I usually get are the leather ones that have a built-in bookmark, and I tend to go for dotted paper as I tend to use it to sketch out designs for software development or video ideas. And finally, I have this dusty old iPad that I only use to browse social media and read some Python books. I'm currently reading this book about object-oriented programming, and I really like how it explains some of the concepts. But yeah, that covers most of my office. There is still quite a lot I plan to do. I'm using this 3D application to design my office even further so I can visualize it before I make any choices. I'll most likely follow up with a video about this process, and I plan to make more videos in general, so why not consider subscribing, and I'll see you later.